everybody. Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now Radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, coming at you live from Camrose, Alberta. And right off the hop here, we've got a couple of calls waiting. Junior in California, Carol in Massachusetts. I want you to wait on the line because I've got a clip for you. This is Health Freedom Attorney Jonathan E. Morg talking about how and why dangerous prescription drugs remain on the market. Give this a listen and think about it. Let's roll that clip.
We hear of a number of pharmaceutical drugs that get pulled off the market, it seems, on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis because they're dangerous. Why aren't those things caught in the many, many years of testing? And why is it waiting until people are actually harmed by these drugs that it gets noticed and pulled?
Well, a lot of people are surprised to learn that the Food and Drug Administration does no testing of drugs. It does not test drugs, and it does not test drugs for safety or for efficacy. Instead, it asks the drug companies that submit the drug applications to perform their own safety testing and their own efficacy testing. Of course, they have an inherent conflict of interest. They have an interest in avoiding communication of information that suggests a safety problem and maximizing the information that suggests that the product is efficacious. And so the drug reviewers, the medical reviewers at FDA are disabled because they receive this information and they have to evaluate everything on paper. They don't have the wherewithal from either the FDA, Congress, or otherwise the statute doesn't provide for it, for them to do their own independent testing and assessment of these drugs. So frequently they never see the actual substance. They don't even know what the drug is they're dealing with. They just see the paper reports that come to the agency as part of the application. Okay, these reports, even with this, many of these medical reviewers are quite savvy, and it is not the case that FDA approves a drug in the ordinary course unaware of the risks. They frequently are informed by the medical reviewers of those risks. We can take a good example of that. In the case of Vioxx, the Merck drug Vioxx. In the Merck application for Vioxx, Merck compared Vioxx with another pain reliever called naproxen. Now, based on the data in the information they submitted and reconstructing it, the medical reviewers were able to show that Vioxx had a 3 to 5 times higher risk for adverse cardiac events, heart attack, and also stroke, than the competing product that was in the comparative trials that were submitted as part of the application, naproxen. When queried about this, Merck said, cutely, that it wasn't that Vioxx was significantly more toxic to the heart than naproxen. It was that naproxen was unusually beneath par as far as risk to cardiac events, and that really Vioxx was at par. The relative risk was not higher than would ordinarily be expected. This was nonsense, but it didn't matter because the determination to approve a drug is a political determination. It's always made by the commissioner of the FDA, one person. The FDA is a dictatorship. Commissioner of the FDA can overrule the scientists even if they're 100% opposed to approval of a drug if he or she wants to, and frequently they do. They set up their own review panels. The commissioner has direct input in choosing who's on the review panels, and conflicts of interest are routinely waived. The commissioner knows by who he or she chooses to be on a panel the likelihood of how they will vote on approval. And so these things are stacked and the bias is set, and it's well established that there is such a bias. There have been surveys and there have been Inspector General reports and so forth, all evaluating this corrupt system. It does nothing. Congress never changes it. The FDA certainly doesn't do anything to change it. So with Vioxx, the drug was put on the market, and true to form, as the medical reviewers suspected, it increased the risk of heart toxicity, so much so that there were 140,000 heart attacks caused by Vioxx, and there were 60,000 deaths caused by Vioxx from heart attack. 60,000 is a number comparable to the number of people who died in the Vietnam War, all from a pain reliever that had multiple substitutes in the market. FDA put it out on the market, gave it its typical push as a breakthrough drug. It was considered a superior pain reliever, and it was used in hospitals all over the United States and all over the world as a routine pain reliever, post-surgical pain reliever. And it was inducing these heart attacks. The frequency of the heart attacks was so great that doctors were concerned and began to do scientific research. And it resulted in peer-reviewed studies that were published in Lancet and JAMA, establishing that Vioxx was heart toxic, was very dangerous, and significantly increased your risk of heart attack and stroke. This information was presented by the medical reviewers to the FDA commissioner, who was then Lester Crawford, and he was told also of the existence of numerous adverse event reports. There were tens of thousands of adverse event reports coming in about Vioxx. He overruled their objections, didn't take any measure to take the drug off the market, and in fact declared that the information was anecdotal and that he believed in the product and thought it was a good drug, keep it on, and wanted to keep it on the market. Not only that, within 2 weeks prior to Merck withdrawing the drug from the market on its own against an avalanche of products liability suits, Lester Crawford approved the drug for use in pediatric rheumatoid arthritis patients, for the use in kids, even in the presence of this massive evidence of heart attack. What happened to Lester Crawford? Well, he left the agency in disgrace because he failed to answer his government employment forms correctly. He had ownership interests in pharmaceutical company stock and in large food companies, which are regulatees of the FDA. Ordinarily, they put that into a blind trust, or they assign it, or they sell it before they get into office. He apparently didn't want to do that. It was under his wife's name, but it's a cognizable interest because it's still recognizable to him, even if he put it under his wife's name or his wife had it. And so he answered no to the question, do you have a cognizable ownership interest in regulated company stock? The FBI approached him about it. He was given, as they oftentimes do, they bend over backwards to accommodate these government officials. Excuse me, sir, are you absolutely sure that your answer to this question is correct? Do you think that you ought to change the answer to yes to this question? It's under penalty of perjury. It would be a false statement if it's untrue. Nope, I don't want to hear any more of this. I don't have any cognizable interest in the stock. So he forced the government's hand in the Justice Department. He was charged with false statements under the False Statements Act. And so, but as is oftentimes the case, he settled the difficulty with the government, paid him a couple $100,000, and then popped out into the private sector, where he went to work for a company called Policy Directions, Inc., which is a lobbying firm in Washington, and it represents, among others, Merck, which is the maker of Vioxx. And he received a very handsome salary, much greater than he received as a commissioner of the FDA. He's doing quite well today as well. So it's a rare circumstance when a person can knowingly cause 140,000 heart attacks, or countenance them, and countenance 60,000 deaths, and then even go to the point of advocating that the very drug that's causing this be used in children with rheumatoid arthritis. But that's the course of events, and this is not atypical. Let me just give you 2 quick examples. Ketec is a Sanofi Aventis drug that's an antibiotic, super antibiotic. The medical reviewers, when they were looking at the Ketec drug, discovered that one primary clinical trial upon which the Sanofi Aventis relied for approval of Ketec looked too perfect. It just seemed too pristine, and their experience with other antibiotic drug applications gave them pause to think that perhaps something's remiss here. I mean, it's just too pristine. So they asked them to supply the agency with the empirical data underlying the trial. Basically, who are all the patients? Where are their informed consents? We want to see them. Show us the data, upon the evaluative data as it's taking place for each of these testing centers, and we'll evaluate that to double check your assessment. Well, the information they requested wasn't forthcoming. It made them seriously suspicious that perhaps there wasn't a clinical trial. The FBI investigated and discovered that it was a fraud, that they made up the clinical trial, that there was no clinical trial performed. And this was a key trial supporting the claims of efficacy for the drug and the very claims that they were seeking about this super antibiotic. In addition, the medical reviewers found troubling information about toxicity, liver toxicity from the drug, and they recommended the Commissioner, in light of the fraud, that it be summarily denied, the application. The Commissioner, however, had other view in mind and ignored the fraud and ordered that the application continue to be processed, and then approved the application, even though it was based on fraud, and then authorized in the indications for the drug indications that were based on the fraudulent clinical trial. That drug is in the marketplace now, carrying those indications, and it is causing the liver toxicity problems and our adverse event reports coming in about Ketec with regularity. And, there are other instances, too, but this gives you a good idea. David Graham, who's the Associate Director of the FDA Office of Drug Safety, has been bold in his whistleblowing about the FDA. Here he is in that position, very high position, and with full knowledge of this whole process, and he has said, frankly, that the FDA considers the drug industry its client, that it will approve as many drugs as it can, regardless of whether they're safe or effective.
So there you have it. We'll approve as many drugs as we can, regardless of whether they're safe or effective. It's all about the money, people. And these are the guys that we have learned to trust with our safety in healthcare. I mean, were you listening to that? More Americans killed in the Vietnam War than by Vioxx. An avalanche of lawsuits, deaths, adverse reaction reports, and even the doctors were worried about it, but it didn't matter. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. We'll be back with Carol from Massachusetts, and we lost Junior in California. Call back and we'll get you on. Back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden here on Friday, July 25th, coming at you live from Western Canada. And I want to talk to you about ways of getting your health back, ways of getting your finances back, and helping your family and your countrymen. I don't care if you're in Canada, the United States, if you're listening over in Kenya right now, like I know a few people are. The call-in line is 1-844-374-5433. Once again, that's 1-844-374-5433. Let's go over to Carol in Massachusetts. He's got questions about Dr. Glidden's webinars. Carol, are you there?
I'm here.
Good to talk to you, Carol.
Yes, thank you. And in 2006, I had a total hysterectomy due to uterine cancer. And they did a CAT scan before the operation and determined I had a mass on my right kidney. So not only did I have the hysterectomy, I had a right kidney removed. In 2011, I suffered a stroke, which the top neurosurgeon at Mass General deemed a cavitous malformation in the brainstem. At this time, 2 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease stage 3, and I'm on Procardia, 120 milligrams, lisinopril, 60 milligrams, atenolol/chloroton daily for hypertension and foot and ankle edema. I'm 74 years young, and let me ask you, is the kidney capable of regenerating itself?
Wow, that's quite the list of things that you've been battling over the years. And what's funny to me is that whenever you were diagnosed with cancer, they just kept removing things and putting you on more drugs. And things have not gotten better. But it sounds to me, Carol, like you're a fighter. And I think that we can help you out by helping you to help yourself. And what we do is we promote longevity products that were founded by Dr. Joel Wallach. Now, you've only got one kidney left.
Right.
And if that one isn't functioning optimally, you don't want to lose that one. So I've got some suggestions for you, okay? Now, there are webinars on Dr. Glidden's site about kidney health. And the biggest thing with kidneys, okay, is calcium, calcium, calcium. But there's a whole lot of things that have to go with that in order to work together to support and promote the healthy structure and function of your kidney, the one that you have remaining. So what I would do, have you got a pen, Carol?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Carol, how much do you weigh?
200 pounds.
200 pounds. Okay, that makes it real easy. This is all based on body weight, okay? The way that Dr. Wallach has formulated this. Now, for kidney health, my suggestion to you, as in, here's what I would do, is 2 healthy start packs per month. 2 healthy start packs per month. Now, what you're going to want to add to that, Carol, there's a couple of things, okay? One of them is the Ultimate Daily capsules. Have you heard of the Ultimate Dailies?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you're going to need a few of those a day, and we're going to also want you using selenium, Ultimate Selenium. Selenium is imperative for a whole lot of things in your body, and in fact, they tried to block Dr. Wallach, but he took them to court and sued the FDA to be able to get a qualified health claim about the effects of selenium. And in fact, it's shown to be a very potent cancer fighter. Okay? So what we want to do is get some raw materials into your body and get it working correctly in the way of fighting all these things that have been haunting you over the years. And if I know the products and how they work, you're probably going to be shadow boxing within about 6 months. So a couple things I just want to add to that. With the Healthy Start Pack, Carol, there's a product called OsteoFX, and you want the liquid OsteoFX. I'm going to hold you over. I hear the music. Just hang on there, Carol, and we'll make sure that you're taken care of. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, talking to Carol. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, the call-in line for this show is 1-844-374-5433. Once again, that's 1-844-374-5433. We've got Carol in Massachusetts on the line from before the break here. And Carol has had just so many health problems over the years, and the doctor's response has been to remove things from her body systematically over and over again. And our preposition here is that the underlying condition remains. Okay? So things aren't going to get better by cutting things out. I mean, there's a time for it if there's no other option available. But if there's a better way, wouldn't you prefer not to have your vital organs removed? So, Carol, we were talking about the Ultimate Dailies, and right before that break, I was mentioning to you that there's a product in the Healthy Start Pack called OsteoFX, and I want you to make sure that you get the liquid Beyond OsteoFX, and I want you to take 2 ounces of that every single day. Now, how did you hear about this radio show, Carol?
I accidentally, it was one of my friends who told me about it.
Okay, great. Well, that's your best friend right now. What you need to do is get back in touch with that very good friend of yours and find out how to get these products. Now, there's a way that you can do it at cost with free shipping, and I want you to ask her about that, and it'll only cost you $10. And here's the deal. You can get your health back, and Longevity will actually pay you to go out and tell other people just like what your friend did with you. Does that sound good, Carol?
Yes, it does.
Does too. I've been doing this for about 3 years, and I have seen multiple people recover from health issues that doctors told them that it was no hope, it was useless, you're going to be on these drugs the rest of your life, and nothing was working. I mean, just last night we had a meeting, and it never ceases to amaze me how many people around me every single day have joint issues, bad kidneys, thyroid problems, high blood pressure. You mentioned, growth on your kidney and your uterus. They did a hysterectomy. This is an absolutely awful situation, but here we come to give you a better way. Now, Carol, are you going to take this advice and run with it?
Yes, I certainly am.
Great. I'd love to hear back from you. Call back when I'm on or Dr. Glidden's on. Most likely it'll be Dr. Glidden because I'm just the Friday guy around here. This is his show. And we want to hear from you. And if you're having problems taking the product, give us a call or get in touch with your friend. And you can have meetings and invite people and show them Dr. Glidden's webinars, listen to the radio show. Now, Fridays when I'm on, there's no video link, but Monday to Thursday, a person can go to the drgliddenshow.tv, and you can actually watch Dr. Glidden in his office on the air, telling people just like you how to get their health back. All right, Carol?
Very good. Thank you.
Take care, Carol. You bet. That's what we do. I'm going to let you go. Now, once again, the call-in line is 1-844-374-5433. If you got questions about how to get your health back, just like I did, and just like most of the members of my family did, call us up. Now, if you have achieved a miracle health recovery using science-backed, clinically verified medical nutrition, I want to hear from you. And there's a whole lot of new people listening to this show out there. I see the numbers. And they want to know, does this really work? Well, I'll tell you what doesn't work. We just listened to that clip of the attorney Jonathan Emord talking about dangerous drugs staying on the market. And I just couldn't get over the fact that just the one drug alone, Vioxx, caused more deaths in Americans than the whole Vietnam War. That's got to tell you something. I mean, 9/11 happens, 3,000 people die, and we go off to war. And I say we because I'm half American myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an Alberta boy through and through, but my dad is from Chicago, and I have definitely a lot of ties to the United States of America. And I don't want to see people sick and dying when there's absolutely no reason for it. So they fudged the numbers, lied on resumes, And when they found that this drug was killing people, did they take it off the market? No. What did they do? They approved it for kids. Lovely bunch of people, hey, folks? So in the United States, you've got the FDA. Well, here in Canada, we have Health Canada. Okay, and they operate under the Health Safety Act. Okay, the Canada Health Act, and that regulates our prescription drugs and a whole lot of just about everything in the free medical system that we have up here. Ain't nothing free, people. I'm telling you right now. And I got this article from Global News, Edmonton, Health Canada looking for ways to make opioid prescriptions safer. Now, another way I could say this is Health Canada looking for ways to make synthetic heroin safer. Let's read on. Health Canada wants ideas on how to stop risky prescribing of the drugs fueling Canada's fastest growing addictions. Now, they claim that they're there for your safety. Okay, and they are quick to smack down any nutritional supplement, even if nobody's been hurt and even if it's proven to help a whole lot of people and change their lives. Okay, but something really dangerous comes along that absolutely destroys people. I mean, just in my little town of 16,000 people here, there are people around here that are addicted to OxyContin. And it's not just OxyContin, it gets worse. In a call for proposals published Friday, the federal government said it's looking for suggestions on how to make prescribing safer, including better training and education for the health professionals giving out these powerful painkillers, badly needed by some, but fatal for others. So what are these people battling with that they need a synthetic form of heroin? I mean, is it that they've got, chest pain because they've got a bad heart? Is it because they've got pain in their legs due to poor circulation? Well, we know how to deal with that. And guess what? We don't even use heroin. Global News Analysis has found prescriptions for hydromorphcontin, an opioid more potent, less regulated, and more easily abused than OxyContin's replacement, have skyrocketed in the province of Ontario. Publicly funded prescriptions increased from 25,600 in February of 2012 to 54,900 in June of 2014. That's 2 years, and these prescriptions doubled. All prescriptions, public and private, increased from 30,000 in May of 2012 to 66,000 in June of 2014, and that is just in the province of Ontario alone. The rise in hydromorphcontin prescriptions worries health professionals on both sides of the border. Oh, they're worried. In the United States, where hydromorphone is considered the champagne of opioids, it's far less easily available. Smuggled quantities of the pill south across the border from Canada would change that, they fear. But get this, Ontario has no plans to crack down on Purdue-made hydromorphcontin in the same way the province made it tougher for physicians to prescribe Oxy Neo. Federal Health Minister Rona Ambrose has made prescription drug abuse a personal priority since her appointment last summer. Yeah, obviously she's doing a lot, huh? Ottawa came under fire the year before when it approved generic oxycodone for sale in Canada, even though health experts and provincial health ministers said it would put a cheap, addictive, and easily abused drug on the market. Now, this is funny. Well, it's not funny. People are dying, but, I mean, the stupidity. Ambrose already considering requiring other as-yet unspecified drugs to be tamper-resistant, making them harder to crush, snort, and inject. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. Have you ever known a drug addict? They're going to make it happen no matter what. But requiring tamper-resistant formulations of drugs is only one component of the comprehensive approach required to effectively tackle prescription drug abuse. Her call for proposals reads, one area in particular has been identified for improvement is prescriber practices. Improved prescriber education will support appropriate prescriber practices. The call for proposals is two-pronged. Improving existing guidelines, training and tools for prescribing, and developing new ones. Do we need specialized and or mandatory training for prescribers, it asks? Now listen, if your doctor knows that this drug is dangerous, because, these guys talk to each other. They read medical reports. They read all kinds of stuff. But if they're willing to sell their soul to give you something that is going to maybe dull the pain for a little while, and then you got to take more, and then you got to take more, and pretty soon it's not even working. The pain's still there, but you need it because you're addicted. I don't know what to say to them. I really don't. And we call them healthcare professionals. Isn't that amazing? The question's been pondered before, and it isn't without controversy. Yeah. Many pain advocates fear putting too many barriers up will just mean physicians avoid prescribing opioids altogether. And the people who genuinely need them don't get them. Pain advocate. There's a title, huh? I'm a pain advocate. So, they're saying people genuinely need them. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there definitely in pain. It's a big problem. But throwing drugs at the problem, especially ones that are going to get people addicted and destroy people's lives, destroy people's families, that's not the answer, seems to me. The deadline to apply for the $3.6 million initiative is August 29th. So they got all kinds of money to throw at asking questions. But when it comes to helping you and your family with something that actually works, no. We got to step in and make you safe. It's absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to your doctor and take the OxyContin and then absolutely have your life destroyed? Or are you just going to have the pain? Well, there's a better way. Support and promote the healthy structure and function of your body and its vital organs and systems. You were made by God to work properly. I mean, Dr. Glidden's fond of saying you wouldn't drive your car with just gas and no other fluids. I mean, your car needs oil, needs coolant, needs water, needs brake fluid, needs power steering fluid. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden with a whole lot of depressing news in amongst a message of hope. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, if that wasn't enough before the break there, listen to this. This is off Fox News. Woman claims doctors used fake medical screws for back surgery. A woman who underwent 2 back surgeries at Pacific Hospital of Long Beach in California has filed a suit claiming that the metal screws used to fuse her spine were fakes made in a Temecula machine shop. The owner of that machine shop is named in the lawsuit, as is the doctor, Pacific Hospital, and its owner. Mary Cavalieri said the fake medical screws caused medical complications, which led to another surgery to have the screws removed. However, the lawsuit claims she couldn't have the full metal device removed because of additional risks, including death. Good trip to the doctor that was, huh? The owner of the facility, Michael Drobot, allegedly oversaw a vast scheme that including making the cheap parts, distributing them to different hospitals for a lot of money, and bribing doctors to steer patients to his hospital to have surgeries done using the knockoffs. Drobot just happens to be the same hospital executive who recently admitted, as part of a plea deal with federal authorities, that he bribed California State Senator Ron Calderon. The Montebello Democrat is being charged by the feds, with accepting money and bribes to try to preserve a workers' compensation rule that benefited Drobot. Anybody say cronyism? While Calderon's case remains unresolved, Drobot admitted to funneling bribes to Calderon and overcharging for medical implants, for which he requested reimbursement from insurance companies and workman comp carriers. Mary Cavalieri's lawsuit adds the explosive allegation that she underwent spinal surgeries at Drobot's Pacific Hospital and says that knockoff devices were built at the Temecula manufacturing shop that closed after the FDA raids. Her attorney Brian Kabotek says the parts were not FDA supervised, they weren't necessarily clean, and they may have not even been the right materials. Now, from what I've read about the FDA, I wouldn't even care if they were overlooking it. I mean, crazy, right? Michael Drobot's attorney Don Norris counters with, the lawsuit is completely unfounded. The hardware was purchased from FDA-approved manufacturers, and we have the documentation. Kabotek goes on to say there are certainly connections here between legislation that's been passed, legislation authored or championed by Senator Calderon and Michael Drobot, and we know this legislation was the vehicle by which they were able to perpetuate the fraud. Calderon is not named as a defendant in the lawsuit. Now, get this. The complaint also mentions that when Ron Calderon's brother Tom lost his state assembly seat, he became a consultant to Pacific Hospital between 2001 and 2010. The facility performed at least 5,138 spinal fusions. Insurance companies were billed over $500 million, 3 times more than any hospital in the state. $500 million. Fake screws. Hey, you want back surgery? I got some screws in my garage. No problem. Got a whole drawer full of them. And I promise to clean them up before I put them in your spine. Think about it. We got a couple minutes here before the break. We're going to go over to Elaine in New Mexico. Elaine, how you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, Dr. Glidden. I'm a huge fan.
Well, Elaine, this isn't Dr. Glidden. This is Mike Phillip. I'm filling in for him. Dr. Glidden's a good friend of mine and my mentor, but I'll help you out any way I can.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I'm a new user to Longevity, and I love the products. I love everything. I've been reading about them, and I believe in them. And I started taking them 2 days ago, and I have started getting some hives. So I was wondering if that might be natural for someone who's suddenly getting 90 essentials that didn't have them before.
I'll tell you what, Elaine, I hear the music, and we're going to come back to you after this network break and the other call we've got online. You just say right there, and we'll talk. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, back after this.